questions to ask throughout our campaign with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming on even deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch alongs to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South they flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Well, I forgot to put us in. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. This is the TACT Eagle for Crystal Palace versus Newcastle at Selhurst Park. As always, I'm joined here with Mr. Statman Dan. How is it going, my friend?
Yeah, all good. Looking forward to the game on Wednesday. I can't make it due to work, but I'm just hoping that we can nick a point or better than that, 3. But yeah, all good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. We just wrapped up doing the preview. When doing it, I had to get a little review in there for the West Ham game because I feel like it would be rude not to have such a great win and not talk about it at all, other than fan cams. But yeah, man, I'm good. I feel like that result and the Liverpool result has gassed me a little bit too much, and I think you're probably gonna witness that in this TACT Eagle a little bit today. But who cares? I need to be like as a football fan, you need to be overhyping your team every so often. I feel like after the last 2 results, I feel like it's warranted, really, because we've had a pretty crap season. So a few good results, why not?
Well, exactly, and I think as well you got to remember, like the only real attacking managers that we've had since being promoted,
Pardew.
Yeah, Pardew, which obviously that all went completely wrong towards the end. And then Vieira's first season, and then besides that, we haven't really had any. And also as well. Oh yeah, well,
Gyro at centre back. Oh my.
Attacking, yeah, Milivojevic at centre back as well, and he tried to make Scott Danner ball playing centre back.
Oh my god,
complete nutter. And also as well is our first back-to-back wins this season.
Oh, is it our first ones?
Yeah, these are our first back-to-back wins this season. We haven't won 2...
And it's April.
Yeah, we haven't won 2 consecutive games until now.
Damn, because I'm sure I said in the preview, I think we have before, but clearly not.
No, we haven't. It was we'll just double-check that, but it was floating around on Twitter today that it's our first back-to-back wins. And yeah, actually, I will confirm that first back-to-back league wins. I will say because obviously we did beat Plymouth just before beating Wolves, but I mean we were expected to win that. Also, as well, a little stat that I researched earlier: since Glaston's come in, we've created 2 XG or more in 4 of our 8 games that we've had under Glasner. To get 4 games where we've created 2 XG or more before his first game, the Burnley game, you have to go all the way back to Leeds away last season.
Damn. Also, a stat for you, Mr. Statman Dan.
Go on then.
Oliver Glasner has managed us for 8 games. We've scored in 7 games, and every game we've scored in, we've scored first under Glasner.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Considering we've played City,
Spurs,
Liverpool, and Liverpool. I mean that is a very. I know the Bournemouth game wasn't great, but that is a very impressive feat to do. And to be honest with you,
and the mighty Bodo Glimt, can't forget those guys.
Of course, and the mighty Bodo Glimt. But also as well, like I think, like the Luton game, we should have won that like 4-0, to be honest, in the first half.
Yeah.
Forest, we could have very easily won that game as well. I'm glad now that we're finally starting to turn the performances into actual points, which is obviously the most important thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a results business, and sometimes even though the performance is good, the results is all that matters. But I think for how good the performances are and the stark change, the results were going to come sooner or later, and luckily they've started coming through now. Let's get into this predicted 11.
Almost
Got
caught
him.
almost caught
Got him.
almost caught in 4K. I was caught in 2K, I think.
Yeah, we got him doing the mini worm, let's say. So as always, gonna run through the injuries, and as always, we use premierinjuries.com. So if it's wrong, blame them, not us. So for us, there's been no new injuries, but we still have got Sam Johnstone, Chet Decore, Jefferson Lerma, Mark Gay, and Mateus França are injured. However, looking to Newcastle, they have got Sven Botman, who is back 2025. Lascelles back 2025. Tonali is back in a long time because he got a little
connected to alleyway.
All right, Alexa, calm down.
Ooh.
Okay, I will keep calm and carry on.
I didn't know it did that.
That is going immediately into best bits. It has to. 1 second.
I'm getting grief of a robot.
TACT Eagle, Newcastle, 6:30. Let's say. That is something I didn't expect to hear today. Yeah. So Botman, Lascelles, Mr. Bet365 back again in Tonali. Lewis Miley is out. Joe Linton is out. Callum Wilson is out. Nick Pope is out. Almiron is out. Joseph Willock is out. Matt Target is out, but a certain Kieran Trippier will be back. So, considering all of that, here is what I have gone with. So, for Crystal Palace, I've gone with Henderson, Mitchell, Richards, Anderson, Klein, Munoz, Hughes, Wharton, Eze, Elise, Mateta. I'm not changing a winning team. Dan?
Yeah, I can't argue with that. And also, more to the point as well, I felt like when Eddie not so much, but certainly when Ayew came on, like I love the guy, but you could immediately tell the drop in quality.
And Hugh and Schlupp for Eze as well. You could tell the drop in quality. They still didn't do bad, but you could just tell that they weren't to the levels.
No, I agree.
Moving over to Newcastle. As we was on stream with John Sinclair, he did say that he would expect them to rest Trippier, play Livramento here, drop Kraft, put Burn as a centre-back, and play Lewis Hall. That's what the Newcastle fans said that they would do, so that's what we're going to go with.
Okay.
So, for Newcastle, they are going with Dubravka in goal, with Hall, Burn, Shah, and Livramento at the back, with Bruno, Anderson, and Longstaff in midfield, with Barnes, Isak, and Gordon up front. Dan, what are you thinking?
Yeah, that's exactly what I went with. It's very interesting to see that to see that change in the back, and that'll be a bit relevant to what I say later, but I'm kind of glad about that change, actually.
Cool. So, Dan, you are doing how we can attack Newcastle today, so let's get into the attack.
Chase! Okay, so let me share my screen. So first things first, I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to talk about where they rank in terms of the stats. So firstly, they rank third. They've conceded the third fewest number of corners this season. So They are very good defensively from corners. However, they rank 15th for non-penalties expected goals conceded per 90. So their defense hasn't been that great this season. However, I do think that they went through quite a bad patch around about Christmas. And I think a lot of that is accumulated by that. Like, for example, when they played Liverpool at Anfield, they conceded 7 XG. So I do think that is skewed a little bit. So bear that in mind. And they also rank 18th for non-penalty expected goals per shot. So whilst they don't really concede that many shots, where they rank 11th, they tend to be of a better quality than everyone. And I think when I show you things, it kind of makes sense. Let's just say that they kind of suffer or have suffered a little bit in the same way, say, like Liverpool did last season, just as a little hint. But yeah. But in saying that, the thing is, defensively, they don't allow much into the box. So, for example, they rank 8th for passes completed into the box, 7th for crosses completed into the box. Obviously, above average, which is good for them. But they do rank 14th for carries into the box, I believe that is, which is interesting. So they don't allow many passes, don't allow many crosses completed into the box, but they do allow a lot of possession. Okay. Interestingly as well, they also rank 17th. So as in only 3 teams have had more of these against them. Completed through balls. I believe that's completed, or at least attempted through balls. So only 3 teams have against them had more through balls played against them, which, again, when you compare that to the amount of carries they allow into the box and the fact that they have quite a high expected goals against per shot, to me that suggests something, which I'll talk about in a minute. They do rank 6th for tackles in the middle third, so that suggests that a lot of their intensity tends to be in that middle third. Again, they also rank very well for the amount of touches they allow in their box. They rank 6th. However, in a similar vein to the through balls and the carries into the box, they rank 20th. So they're the worst team in the league for this, for tackling dribbles in the league. And about 52% of their opponents' take-ons or dribbles are completed against them. So over 1 in 2, basically. And like I said, I think we'll explore why. So what do they do? So let's talk about if we have the ball. Let's start from our end first, and we'll work towards the block at the end. So let's say Dean Henderson's got the ball here, and he hasn't kicked it in his own net.
Yeah, is he using his aura or his feet?
Definitely not his brain. So let's say we've got our players here, and they're like this. So as we all know, Newcastle are a very good pressing team. So generally what happens, they play like a hybrid kind of system. Do you know what I've just done? I've realised I've put the left back as Glasgow. But then what have I done there?
So yeah, go Hull, Shaw, Burn, and Livramento.
Yeah, let's do that. Livramento. I'm a big fan of Livramento.
Yeah.
I wish we'd gone for him, but alas. I think he's actually from Wallen. He's from around here.
Oh yeah.
Because he used to play for a team like just over there, I think.
He cost a few quid to buy from Southampton, though, wasn't he?
Oh yeah.
It was like 20 mil, something like that.
The thing is, Chelsea had a buyback on him as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so as we know, Newcastle are a very good pressing team. No, they don't just also like they don't just take of it either. They do have a press well, times when they press and times when they don't, and that's instructed by Eddie Howe, and they do it well. And it tends to be, it's like a bit of a hybrid system. So let's say Gordon's here, Barnes is here. So what Isaac will do is, let's say Dean Henderson brings a ball out here. They'll try to ensure that these passing avenues aren't good, so that then that forces a pass here. Or even if it is to the midfield, then they're going to have they're going to be closed down very quickly. And as soon as the goalkeeper looks like they're going to kick that ball, let's say he pass it to Richards, by the time it's like there, Gordon's already running to that area. And the thing is, it works, these positions, because if Henderson goes to Tyron Mitchell, who have Livramento on him and Gordon straight away. If he does go into, let's say, I don't know, Will Hughes, again, Isaac's going to be trying to block these passing lanes. And so therefore it makes it difficult there. So really they're trying to force people to go long. And when you got centre backs like Byrne and Shah who are good in the air, then that's going to be difficult, especially as well when you got Bruno as well, who's very good at picking up those second balls. So, and also as well, let's say that Henderson does bring the ball out further. They'll have, and this is what they did against Spurs, like they'll have particular triggers that will mean that Isaac will then run at the goalkeeper who's in possession. So for Spurs, as soon as Vicario got to about there, Isaac just ran straight at him basically, and that's what they'll try to do. So let's say you pass your way out of it. I think, in my opinion, I think the only way to really pass out on it, I think, is just to either you are just incredibly quick with the players in the middle, or perhaps Eze drops and then someone then fills that gap or something like that, some sort of rotation that could work. Or, I mean, ideally you'd maybe want, or potentially like a long pass out wide. And
then, whenever Henderson tried that, he kicked it out play. So,
well, that's something he definitely needs to work on. But let's say Munoz gets there, you've got a good chance of being in a position where you've got a 2-on-1 and so on and so forth. So that's what we can do. And again, like we've said against Liverpool and West Ham, we do seem to like to leave players sort of higher as well. So that just again, if they're playing like a hybrid or a man-to-man system, then if Eze goes there, then theoretically someone's got to follow him. So, and if he moves there, well, then that gives, say, space for Hughes or whoever to move into. I mean, that's an exaggerated example, but that's like general principle. Okay. So what happens in the middle then? Well, similar thing. If there is a situation where that doesn't happen, because I mean that's a goal kick situation, so it's a relatively controlled situation. But let's say they just lose the ball up here, and I don't know, we managed to get the ball here, and then it's this kind of situation. Let's just say, again, they will press in the middle as well, and they will try to strangle that ball and try and force the team wide. And also as well, I think it's worth saying that Barnes and Gordon will definitely try to they will help out with defending as well. And Isaac tends to perform that kind of role that a lot of strikers seem to do now, where let's say, I don't know, Klein gets the ball here, Isaac will then stand in between him and the other centre back to try and block off that passing lane, just so it limits the options. And then if you get forced wide, their midfield will definitely move over and try and squeeze that space. So it'd be something like this, I guess, potentially. Yeah, and they'll try to squeeze that space, which, as you can see, does mean that the switch is on as well. But that's generally what they'll try to do. And if they lose the ball in, it depends. But if they lose the ball in this kind of area here, let's say, they will try to counter press very quickly. And that obviously depends on how they've attacked and stuff like that. But they will try to win that ball back as quickly as they can, which is why they rank so highly for the amount of tackles in the middle third. What's going on here?
I think one thing that we have been doing in the last few games, which I do think has been pretty successful, is when Anderson's got the ball, he's still picking out those crossfield diags, but he started doing another thing where he would do like a driven pass into one of our forward players as well. So let me share my screen real quick. So, for example, what we'll see is, like, I'll use Eze as an example because I think he done it the best against West Ham. He would be sort of in this half space in between the fullback and the centre back, like pushing the back line. And then obviously this midfielder's not got any notice of Eze because these two guys have got him, and this midfielder is looking at Hughes. What we've been doing is that Hughes will make a run inside, which this player will follow, and then what will happen is Eze runs deep into this space that has then been created for Anderson to then do a nice pass inside, and then you can see the combination play start to go. So a pass in there, run through, and then Eze is through. That's one thing that we have been doing lately that I think has worked extremely well under Glasner.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think with that as well, that's why the wing backs are so important in Glasner's system, because when you do that, you're effectively forcing, especially a back four, you're forcing them to move, to become more narrow. And then that's how you manage to get such space with the wing backs. Like you say, when Eze comes inside, when Eze moves inside,
what was that?
When Eze moves inside, then, like you say, the defenders have got a choice. They've either move with him or allow him space. But something interesting that Newcastle did against Spurs is that when they were in this low block, it actually ended up being more like, when I say it was kind of like where this defensive line is, what would happen is the two wider midfielders would actually drop to be back six with Bruno in the middle here and then Gordon here. So it was like a 6-3-1, which I thought was very interesting, because what that means for them is that, okay, let's say even like Nathaniel Klein's like moved up, it means that they've got four players in this area. Like, it's very difficult to break that down. And the thing is, you could say, okay, what about early crosses from here? Well, they've got Dan Burn and Fabian Schär there, who are both very good in the air.
Well, yeah, you'd have, 6 players in the box if some of the midfielders tuck in, or if Gordon and Barnes run back in the box as well. They'll just be too congested with bodies that to find a Palace player in there, you're finding a needle in a haystack, really.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they did that against Spurs and they kept a clean sheet, which I'm fairly sure is the first game Spurs haven't scored in like all season. So it's obviously worked, and it is effective. However, and this is where I'm going to start talking about the exploits I do think that we could do. So whilst they do block these channels off here, I do genuinely think, whilst there is a lot of players there, if you kind of catch them in the right place, I do think it is manipulated. Because like another thing that I noticed that we do a lot of, and this is what Glasner did at Frankfurt, is that the wider centre back tends to kind of act as like. Do you remember the overlapping centre backs? Wilder used to, well, still does with Sheffield United, where they had a back three, but it'd be the inside centre back who kind of like join the attack.
Yeah, Klein's done it a lot more than Richards.
Yeah,
but Klein will help pressing up high sometimes.
Yeah, no, exactly. And let's say we do get this place. The thing is, whilst they do have this cover, what I did notice was that Gordon and Barnes didn't really tend to move. Like their purpose just seemed to be to block the middle channel here. So what that meant was that let's say Michael Elise moves over here and we've managed to get a Nathaniel Klein's moved up. You've effectively got a 2v3. So if we're able to engineer that, or if it's the other side, and let's say Richards doesn't want to get involved, you know, all you've got to do is move, just shift over a little bit. So then you've got that kind of overlap here. Because like I said, Gordon and Barnes didn't really tend to help in terms of defending the wings, I don't think. And that could be a potential to find some space. That's why I said it's important to do it at the right time, because obviously if they're a bit further back, then that, you know, there's a lot less space. But if they do this, they might not do this against us because they might not see us as much of an attacking threat as Spurs. But if you get them in the right place where you do have that space in behind, then you can manipulate that. And then that will give you a greater chance of finding space and therefore having a shot and trying to score and whatever. Now, what's another thing that you can do? So I do think that I don't think their counter press is that good, in my opinion, which is surprising considering that they are a very good pressing team when when it's a goal kick for us. But if they do lose the ball in these kind of areas, it's okay. But generally what happens is that if they do lose the ball here, and let's say they have committed let's just say they've committed a couple of players forward and it kind of just looks like this, what will immediately happen, rather than actually trying to press them immediately, what they'll try to do is that the defense will become quite narrow. I guess again just to block off these central areas. They don't want the transitions to happen in these central areas. But obviously what that means for us is that if we are in this position, we can exploit the wings very quickly on the transition. And I think that could be something that would be very good for us. Because then we can get in behind this way. I don't think we would get much joy in the middle here. I mean, and even firing it to JP and him acting as a pivot, I feel like that'd be quite a difficult thing to do, and it's probably what they would like us to do. But I think if we manage to just spread ourselves a bit wider, if we do win the ball in these transitions, then I think we'll find a lot of joy down here, and then try and get people in the box when, let's say, they're in a bit further, here or something like that. That's what I think we can do. Another thing that's worth noting as well is let's say it's like a mid block. So imagine we've worked the ball up a bit more. Say Eze's a bit further inside. They've come a bit more narrow just because they kind of have to. Let's say Munoz is over here. When they're in this position, they do hold quite a high line to here. So if you do manage to get JP just running in behind, and let's be honest, Byrne and Shaw aren't the quickest people in the world. And even if they have Kraft or whatever his name is, I don't remember him being particularly quick. I think Lewis Hall's relatively quick, and I think Livramento's relatively quick.
The fullbacks are fast.
Yeah, but if we manage to catch them just off guard in these middle bits here, or I don't know, maybe we do push Tyrick Mitchell up a bit more, so that does mean that Livramento's kind of watching Tyrick Mitchell at the same time, Hall's watching Daniel Munoz at the same time. Then hopefully we can just pop that ball over the top like we did against City, and then we can get in and try and cause some problems there. And again, we've got 3 players who are happy to do that, to try and run in behind, and I'm hoping that's something that we can do. Final thing, like I said about the personnel earlier, And I watched Lewis Hall extensively when we were about to sign him because as part of my scout threads, he's not the best defensively. So I honestly think Elise and Munoz, if we can get at this side of the pitch, that's going to affect them attacking wise because obviously Anderson will be less inclined to go forwards. But also, I think Hall does fall asleep sometimes at defensively, partly because of his age, but also partly because he's actually his preferred position is actually in central midfield, believe it or not. But I'm fairly sure when I watched him, he played left wing back, so he's not necessarily used to playing in the back four. But yeah, that's what I would say. So just to summarise, in a mid block, try and exploit their high defensive line. If we win the ball in these areas and try to maneuver it to the wings because they like to try and block the central areas when there's a transition. And if they do go into a back six, if we try to overload whichever side of the pitch, I think we can do that because Gordon and Barnes don't really tend to help the wings so much. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Cool. So do you definitely think that there's goals in this game for us, or do you think that?
Oh, 100%. And actually, another thing I did have a look at was I didn't write it down though. Newcastle have only conceded less than 1 XG away from home, like a couple of times. So let's see. So away 1-1-1. Yeah, they've only conceded less than 1 XG away from home twice. And one of those games was an 8-0 win over Sheffield United. And another one was just a random 2-2 draw against Wolves back in October. So I think there will definitely be chances for us. And I think the way we've been playing as well, like we created 2 XG against Liverpool. I mean, I think if we can do that against Liverpool, we can certainly do it against Newcastle. Mainly the players will probably be more tired, but I just can't. I think we'll definitely get chances, and we'll just need to take those chances.
Definitely. Let's get into the defense. So when talking about how we can defend, let me talk about how they attack quickly. So I've got a few stats here. So on average, so far this season, Newcastle have 2.2 goals scored per game, which is very decent.
Mm-hmm.
They have had 31 counter-attacks so far this season. So that tells you how they like to attack. So as Dan said, they do like to drop back. However, when they win that ball, everyone floods forwards.
Yeah, and especially when you got someone like Gordon Isak who is so quick as well.
Yeah. And the thing is you mentioned Gordon and Isak. What are they both very good at? Dribbling with the ball. On average, so far this season, they've got 9.1 successful dribbles per 90, which is joint second in the Premier League for ball carries, which already shows sort of how they attack already. So Newcastle are a very versatile team in the way how Eddie Howe plays. They're not a one-trick pony at all. They have sort of a bit of everything, which is why they seem to be so high up in the league without really pulling up any straws all the time. So their main way of killing people is counterattacks, but they are able to build up the ball. They are able to go down the wings and cross because they've got people like Trippier, Harvey Barnes, Bruno Guimaraes. But another one is definitely that ball in behind. And I think that is probably the main one that I'm going to focus on today because the pace and the composure of Isak, Harvey Barnes up front is something that I think is actually a big worry to me. As Dan said, he thinks that Palace are definitely going to score goals. I know for a fact that we're going to concede goals as well in this game, so it's going to be a tough one for us, definitely. So let's get into it. As I said already, they like the ball in behind. So in a roundabout way, what they want is to keep us in a mid block as much as possible. Mid block is basically where every single player on the pitch is around about in the middle of the pitch. No one's really too far committed into the either side's third. But what a mid block does allow is, let's say Bruno has the ball here. What a mid block does allow is running room in behind. So all this space in behind the defense is room that a striker can run into and run away from defenders. And Anderson, granted, he's probably our best centre-back, but he's definitely our slowest centre-back. And because he plays in the middle, he's going to be one-on-one with Isak. Granted, he did really well against West Ham against Antonio, because Antonio's definitely got the legs on him. But I do think that Bruno is a different... Bruno and Isak are just a different level to Antonio and Ward-Prowse, let's say. So I do think that they've got the footballing IQ and the actual ability to maybe get round Anderson and get him behind. So that's one thing that they want. So in reality, for us, what is probably a little bit better, even though it's a little bit risky, it's probably smarter for us to drop that extra few yards so that if they do play that ball over the top, Henderson can come out and collect. Or if they do play that ball over the top, there won't be enough time for Isak to get past Anderson. Maybe Anderson could get there before him. Or even Bruno overhits it and it goes out for a throw-in or a corner or whatever. Or a goal kick. So dropping that little few yards deep is probably something that we should do, purely because of how they like to play. With their build-up play, their build-up play is sort of a little bit more fluid than a lot of people give them credit for. So they do sit with their four at the back, definitely. And Bruno is sort of, I wouldn't say he's a sweeper, but he is definitely the one that will pick the ball up from the centre-back's turn and then try and make something happen. However, what will happen is that the wingers will stay wide. So Gordon and Barnes will definitely stay wide. But what will happen is, let's say Shah has the ball here. Bruno makes himself available on the right side of the pitch. What will happen is when the ball's passed to Bruno and he turns, Longstaff will still stay short, stay within passing range. But what will happen is that Isak will drift into the half space here, and Elliot Anderson, or whoever else is playing on the midfield on the opposite side of where Bruno is, will then start to press the back line. So then their 4-3-3 then sort of turns into a 4-2-4 in the build-up. So obviously, against a 4 at the back, you can see how this is very dangerous because they will be 1v1 against all of our players. However, because we play a 5 back now, this isn't going to be as stressful for us because we will have a man advantage. However, by having a man advantage, you make a different problem for yourself, which the only way that we can get around this is the players just need to communicate and be smart. I say that because now that it's a 2-on-1 at all stages, it basically means that each one of the Newcastle players has a half space for them to run into. So as long as these guys are communicating, they could sandwich it, get that play out of the door. However, if they don't communicate very well or one of them's out of position, then let's say, for example, I don't know, Klein stepped up here to pass the ball in and got intercepted. Then you've got 2 players here, let's say, both attacking the same half space with only one player coming across to mark. it's almost a guaranteed goal for them with the amount of composure that they show. Also, something that is probably good to know for us having a 5-back as well is that when they cross balls into the box, they do like to show a lot of desire. I think that's a word I'm going to use a lot. They like is a word I would like to use a lot in this. Desire, the want to win, and I feel like that's a very Eddie Howe way of playing. I feel like when he was at Bournemouth, they were a very hard team to win just because they had that want and that need to win every single game, and that's shown when they cross the ball in. So let's say that Livramento's gone up. He's got the ball here. They do like to cross from deep. The ideal person to cross from here is Trippier, but he is supposed to be fit, but I don't think he'll start. But what you will see is if they're in this situation, they will look to put the ball in early, 100%. But you will see a lot of players attacking the area. You will see Isaac going in there. You will see one of the midfielders going in there. You will see the fullback going in there at the far post. But you will see the opposite. You will see both wingers, surprisingly, both of them standing on the edge of the box here. And that age-old thing that I've been talking about for ages, where players sprinting into the box, overshoot it, and then you leave tons of space outside the box for these guys to pick up the ball, have enough time, and try and score a really nice goal. This is obviously counteracted if our midfielders get back in time as well. But, you know, that is how they play. Another thing that they do like to do, so let's go back into this mid-block again. Let's get these here. So one thing with Newcastle is, Dan, what did you say about their attempted through balls or long passes? That they basically attempt them all the time, isn't it?
Oh no, so as in that the ones I was talking about was the ones that they concede.
Oh, well, basically they have a tendency to always go for the killer pass every single time. So whenever Bruno's got the ball, he's actually got one of the lowest pass completion rates in the Newcastle team, even though everyone praises him for his passing. But that's because every single time he looks forward, it's always a vertical pass. That is probably Eddie Howe's biggest thing. If you can see a pass forwards, you take it. Even if you put that guy under loads of pressure, you still take that forward pass. You want to progress the ball up the pitch as fast as possible. Very, very Aston Villa, Unai Emery-like, but it's very effective. And what they will do is they'll try and force the ball through to certain players. So, for example, to see Isaac here, they'll force that ball in. Even if Hughes is coming across, they'll still try and force that ball through, or they'll try and link up the play going around him, for example. So interceptions are very key in this game. And I feel like Hughes and Wharton have been doing very well at that in the last few games, but they're going to have to really work overtime that they're now, once again, a man down in midfield, but they're going to have to play like how they have been to make up for that lack of a body in the midfield. So how do we defend against these guys? Basically, we do what we did against Liverpool. And that's the long and short of it. You be as compact as possible. You don't commit too much forwards. Obviously, having the back five, as I said, so that we can cover all those runners into the box. Interceptions are very key. And one thing that and because of how good their dribblers are, we need to be very good at shepherding away rather than making a challenge, because they're more than good enough to see you make a challenge, go over the leg, win a good free kick, and they've got a great free kick taker in Bruno or Trippier. So you don't really want to give free kicks away in dangerous positions. However, one stat that I did find very, very, very interesting, and is something that I feel like we should try and exploit as much as possible. We should I wouldn't say we should try and do what Newcastle do, where they just pack out the box. But I do think it's a very good idea. The reason why I say that is that Newcastle have scored 68 goals this season. Only 6 of them have been scored from outside of the box.
Okay.
So if we pack out that box and we make them and force them to shoot from range, they've got a very low possibility that, or a very low chance of actually scoring them, because 1, they don't actually take that many long shots, and 2, when they do, there's not a very high percentage of them going in either. So as long as we pack out that box, and when the ball drops outside, we just charge out as we normally do anyway, most likely it's either going to go over the bar or they're going to try and recycle it and put it back in the box again. So if we can just maintain our area, control our area like we have been doing, I don't feel like would be that big of a problem. Also, just keeping the ball away from them and allowing them to tire out, because as Dan said, they're a very good pressing team when we've got a goal kick. So if we can just pass the ball around, they will run themselves ragged, basically. And they've got a very similar fixture list to us, where they're playing Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, I think they are. So they're going to be in a similar boat to us, where they might not want to absolutely kill themselves for our game, because they've got another game against against Sheffield United on Saturday, which is also a must-win for them.
Yeah, because I know they didn't play this weekend, but I think they're playing next weekend, and then I think they got 2 midweek. They got midweek this week and then midweek next week, I think.
Yes, they've got a lot of games coming up, and they've got a lot of injuries. So this team is going to have to reserve some energy for all those games, and also making it even more pressure for them. They are on level points with Man United.
Yeah, that's
as well. And if let's say for just for the sake of it, that Man City win the FA Cup again, that means that European spot will then go down to 6th place, which means that 6th place position is going to be very important to both Man United and Newcastle. So I'm sure that it's going to be extra pressure on them. And with us, we've not really got anything to fight for anymore. We're safe, and when's the best time for Palace to play football? When we are safe and we've got nothing to play for. That's when we seem to play our best football. So that is that. I have some images that we can fly through very, very quickly. Let me just get it up. I don't know if that's a pause. Is that a pause?
Nah. That's fine. We'll let it pass.
All right. Cheers, mate. So, remember what we said about them being very Route 1. So this is what Dan said. They played their 6 at the back. Oh. Yes, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 even. All in the box, all defending their area. Cool. This is Bruno. He's got 3 Spurs players in front of him, and he's got 2 players in front of him, basically. The rest of the team's behind him. There's 2 players in front of him. So what does he do? He looks up, and he goes, whack. Have that. Gordon here, like I said, desire. Remember I said desire. Miscontrols the ball here. The defender gets in front of him, but he shows the desire to then shoulder him off the ball, take a few touches and dribble this way. Defender commits himself. Isak's making an incredible run here. Ball slipped in there. Isak, incredible composure, ducks inside. Van der Ven does one of them, goes absolutely flying, and then smashes it near post. And that showed 3 of the things that I talked about. The ball in behind, the composure, the desire, and then the dribbling ability of Isak. So all 4 things that I've spoken about that we need to be really aware of is all in play in this one goal. Again, in the same game. Remember what we said about they like to press high? This is meant to be a back pass to Vicario, but Gordon is already in a very nice position that when that ball, I mean Harvey Barnes, that when that ball comes in, he's already in that position to grab the ball, cut inside, and smashes it home. Same thing again. Bruno's got the ball. He looks up. He goes, have it. Give it a good whack. Isak running in behind once again with the composure to take it all the way to the keeper and hit it far post. So the ways that I've described, it's tried and tested. They've done it. They're doing it. And this is their most recent game as well. So coming off of that, they've just come off a 4-0. They've just come off of a 4-0 win. They beat Fulham as well the game before that. So they're in pretty good form. They've scored 5 in their last 2. We've scored 6 in our last 2. So both teams actually going into this very hot on form, very good on goal scoring form. So potentially this could be actually very an exciting game. However, as we've said before, Dan, if both teams are coming into this in good form, it very well could be 0-0.
Yeah, that is true. I think when I looked earlier, I think Newcastle, the only team with better form than them is Man City in the last 4 games, I believe. In fact, I've just checked it now. Yeah, 3 wins and a draw, 10 points. City are only above them because they've scored more goals. Even in last 6 games, they're still second. So yeah, the only thing I will say about Newcastle's form is that I feel like they are a lot better away from home, at home, than they are away from home. Because once you take if you take their last 4 home games, they rank 3rd for form. If you take their last 4 away games, they actually rank 7th. They they've lost 2 and won 2. So I do think they are definitely better at home than they are away from home.
Definitely. So now it's score predictions, and I threw you under the bus last time, so here's my turn. Remember what I said at the start? I'm very gassed on how we're scoring goals, and I do think they're going to score goals. But I think we'll score more. And that's I don't know if it's very out there, but I'm backing us now. I think Glasner's given me a newfound confidence, which I really don't deserve, and I really shouldn't have. However, I'm going to go 3-2 Palace. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I do think we'll score more goals because I do think, even though they have Isak, I still think that we have a bit more quality spread out of the front 3 compared to what they do, because they've got Isak, who is incredible striker, but then Gordon and Barnes, they're not bad players, but they're not on the same level as in Elise, let's say.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm going to go 2-2. The thing is, had it been a weekend game and we'd had like a week to prepare, and they hadn't, and what I mean is, if the fact that it's midweek for us and they didn't play at the weekend, I feel like that's going to massively play into their hands. Had it been like a level playing field in that sense, then I probably would have been more optimistic. But I'm going to go 2-2. Also, as well, this fixture just always seems to end in a draw. Like I've looked at the head-to-head last season, and I mean like at Palace, but at our ground. Last season 0-0. Season before that 1-1. Season before that, okay, we lost that one, but it's only the second time, from what I can see, we've lost in the league at home to Newcastle since we've come up. So this game just always, and equally, we've only beaten them twice at home in that same time frame. So to me, it's just another one of those. It just always seems to end in a draw. But then I said that about West Ham, and we won 5-2. So
yeah, and I would also say that potentially Glasner could be one for breaking curses as well, because in the West Ham fixture, I'm sure in the last 4 meetings, the team that scored first lost.
Yeah,
And-
something like that.
and
yeah.
we've turned that around in our last game.
Yeah.
So who says that
definitely.
Glasgow can't turn it around this time, and we might actually win this time? Never know.
Well, let's hope so. But yeah, for me, it's just more the midweek game feeling that
Yeah.
just worries me a little bit more, because obviously last time we played a midweek game was against Bournemouth, and that wasn't great. So
Yeah, and I made the journey there.
yeah,
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice. But yeah, anything else that you want to add, mate?
nope. That's I think that's summed everything up really well, and no doubt, I'm sure all the things we've just talked about will happen on Wednesday.
Cool. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. Apologies that this isn't live, but we're trying to get as many TACT Eagles out as possible as the season's ending. And I think this is our last double game week, isn't it, of the season?
Yes, I think we don't have more midweek games.
So yeah, we'll try and get these two out so we can get as many TACT Eagles out for you as possible, and then obviously we'll go back to our regularly scheduled programming on Wednesdays. I think our next TACT Eagles out Friday. I think.
Yeah, can be. I mean, I'm free to pre-record both Thursday, and I'm fairly sure I'm around Friday as well. So
yeah, I think let's pre-record Thursday. Make it.
Oh yeah, because Thursday would probably be preview, wouldn't it, for them? So yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Cool. Guys, thank you for watching, and as always, up the palace. Eagles!
Eagles!